You can win 70% of your trades and still go completely broke. That's not a typo, and it's not bad luck. It's math, the exact same math casinos use to stay rich while gamblers walk out empty. And almost nobody shows it to retail traders. Here's the trap. We're trained to obsess over win rate. How often were you right? It feels like the obvious scoreboard. Win more, make more. Simple. Except it's a lie, and I'm going to prove it to you with nothing but a coin. Imagine a game. You flip a coin. Heads, you win. Tails, you lose. But this coin is rigged in your favor, it lands heads 70% of the time. You'd take that bet all day, right? You'd feel unstoppable. Now here's the catch nobody mentions. When you win, you make $100. When you lose 400. Suddenly that beautiful 70% win rate is quietly bleeding you dry. Let's run the numbers. Out of 10 flips, you win 7 times. 7 wins at $100 is $700. Feels great. But you also lose 3 times. 3 losses at $400 is $1,200 gone. Do the math. You're up 700, down 1,200. Net result? You lost $500, while being right 70% of the time. Read that again. You were right more than twice as often as you were wrong, and you still went backwards. This is the single most important concept in trading, and it has a name. Expectancy. It's the average amount you can expect to win or lose per trade over the long run. And it ignores how good your win rate feels. The formula is brutally simple. Multiply your win rate by your average win. Then subtract your loss rate times your average loss. Whatever's left is your edge, or your hole. In our coin game, 0.7 times 100 is 70. 0.3 times 400 is 120. 70 minus 120 equals negative 50. You lose $50 on average every single flip. The win rate was a magic trick. Now flip the whole thing on its head. Imagine a trader who's wrong 70% of the time. Sounds like a disaster. A loser. But watch what happens when we change the sizes. This trader loses 70% of the time, but each loss is only $100. And the 30% of the time they win $400. Same numbers, mirror image. Run it. 0.3 times 400 is 120. 0.7 times 100 is 70. 120 minus 70 equals positive 50. This person makes $50 per trade, while being wrong most of the time. So here's the uncomfortable truth. A trader who loses far more often than they win can crush a trader who wins constantly. Being right is not the game. Being right about the size of your wins versus your losses is the game. This is exactly how casinos think. The house doesn't win every hand. On any given spin, you might beat them. They don't care. They care that across millions of bets, their tiny edge is mathematically guaranteed to grind everyone down. The casino isn't gambling. You are. The casino is running expectancy. And when you trade without knowing your expectancy, you've sat down at the table as the gambler, not the house. But there's a second layer of casino math that's even more dangerous, and it kills traders who actually do have an edge. It's called risk of ruin. Risk of ruin is the probability that you lose so much money you can't keep playing, even if your strategy is profitable in the long run. Because the long run doesn't matter if you're knocked out before you get there. Here's the part that breaks people's brains. You can have a genuinely winning system, a positive expectancy, and still go broke purely because you bet too big on each trade. Picture a $1,000 account. You're confident, so you risk $500 on one idea. You're up against a losing streak, and losing streaks are normal, even with a great strategy. 2 losses in a row, and you're done. Your edge never even got a chance to show up. This is why position sizing isn't boring admin work. It's survival. The size of each bet decides whether your winning strategy actually gets to win, or whether variance ends you first. Professionals flip the question entirely. Amateurs ask, how much can I make on this trade? Professionals ask, how much can I lose before I'm out of the game? They size down so that no single trade, and no normal losing streak, can ruin them. A common framework is risking only a small fraction of your account per trade, often 1 or 2%. Not because it's exciting. Because at 1%, you need a long, brutal, statistically rare losing streak to blow up. You buy yourself enough flips for your edge to appear. And this is where psychology ambushes you. After a few wins, sizing small feels stupid. You feel invincible. You want to press harder, bet bigger, ride the streak. That feeling is the casino whispering in your ear. Because the moment you size up out of confidence, you've quietly raised your risk of ruin. One bad sequence and the account that took a year to build vanishes in a week. The streak that made you bold is the same streak that takes it back. So let's tie the whole thing together. Win rate is the number that feels like everything and means almost nothing on its own. Expectancy tells you whether you have an edge at all. And position sizing decides whether you survive long enough to collect it. 3 numbers. Win rate is the loud one. Expectancy and risk of ruin are the quiet ones that actually run your account. The market doesn't reward the person who's right the most. It rewards the person who manages the math the best. So next time you catch yourself bragging about how often you're right, stop and ask the only questions that matter. What's my average win versus my average loss? And how much am I risking per trade? Answer those honestly, and you stop being the gambler. You start being the house.